Good morning.
Good morning.
We're doing this.
Okay.
It's happening. Welcome to the podcast, The Dog Ladies, where two besties just talk dogs. We do it all the time, so we kind of figured, why don't we upload it to America to be judged? So
Enjoy
might as well. So I'm Shaylin Matthews.
I'm Jessica Tritz.
And I own Oak Road Farm Pyrenees. And you?
Central Wisconsin Bernedoodles.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of just... Today, as an introductory, we're just going to tell you a little bit about ourselves, and then in the following episodes, we'll get into things like mastitis and C-sections and Giardia and all the fun things.
Everything dog.
Yeah.
I mean, hence the name. So
live cover and all that kind of stuff. So
any questions you guys want to know? So we're going to talk about what life is like as a breeder, things that we talk about on a daily basis. And if you guys have questions, we would love to cover them in future podcasts. So yeah, we really don't have a plan.
No, because we obviously are breeders. I'm a mom. I homeschool. I have 5 kids. You
have 6 kids.
Yes.
I don't homeschool at all.
He hasn't crossed over to the crazy side.
No. So, I mean.
So we're busy. So it's like we kind of just, are going to hop on here and share, and hopefully you get something from it, which I know you will, because Jess is like my go-to for everything. She is just a plethora of amazing advice and seasoned in what she does. 100 years.
Seasoned. Yeah. I like that. 100 years?
100 years seasoned more than me.
So she used to be my friend. See if she's my friend.
You have 100 years of knowledge.
Aw, thank you. No, I love breeding. I love sharing it with people that I love. So this is one of my favorite pastimes is talking dogs. So I'm super excited that Shaylin came up with this idea, and we get to talk dogs with everyone else, and we'll see if it is coherent and where it leads us.
But we both have a mild touch of ADD.
Yeah.
So sorry. Just follow along if you can. Part of the reason why I wanted to do it too was because I listen to a lot of dog podcasts, and I feel like and I always tell this to people, I feel like in the dog world, and I don't know if you feel this way, there's either you're an insane mean dog lady or you're like a crappy backyard breeder. Like I feel like there's not a lot of good in between. And so I feel like I'm kind of in between. Like I want my dogs health tested. I want them like thriving. I want to do things well, but I'm not like super mean and judgmental. We're like, when you go to like buy a dog from somebody who's super mean and judgmental, and you like need a stud or like a bitch or something for your program, and they just hound you with questions and, just like, are you good enough for one of my puppies? Like I'm not like that, So, I mean, I want my puppies to go to good homes, obviously, and there's contracts involved and all that, but I feel like everybody deserves a dog as long as you're a good person with a good heart,
I was blown away when I got into breeding with how mean and cutthroat breeders could be.
Yeah.
And I thought, here I am trying to learn and just embrace everything breeding related, and finding people that would talk dog was so hard.
Yeah.
And I was just absolutely dumbfounded with why people would not want to lift each other up and support each other and be there for each other. Because if you've been following me at all, you know that I share everything. Yeah. Maybe too much.
Me too.
That's life. But this is an emotional business. Yeah. It is an emotional job. It is an emotional roller coaster. It is a grueling, it tests everything about your faith, your life choices, your career. I mean, it's a hard job, but it has the highest highs that are the most rewarding. Sure. And I couldn't fathom why people wouldn't want to be part of a community that genuinely supported each other. And so finding people like Shaylin and many other people that we'll talk about.
I feel like it's come a little since we started. I feel like it's gotten better for sure.
I think a good social media. I think social media has allowed people to find each other for that reason. But back in the day, that was not the culture. You did not talk about your business because, heaven forbid, someone try and replicate that, and that is not what I'm here for. I want to raise the standard and support breeders and talk about it with families, because ultimately, I think the families have a better experience and a better outcome when they understand that.
Sure.
There's so much that goes into raising a dog, even just from the very planning stages, you know, and I think if we can be open about that with people, everyone has a better outcome.
Right. And I feel like when I first started breeding, there was nothing about breeding.
No.
Like not a podcast, not a nothing. It was crazy. And so you were just like glomming onto any little information. And there was so much. Like I feel like Jess and I have been through everything when it comes to dogs.
So.
And I feel like we have to learn the hard way because there's nothing out there on it, you know? So you're just like, and so I'm like, you know, let's just share some of this. So somebody who's new to breeding or maybe is just real, like maybe 1 litter a year or something, eventually you're going to go through some stuff that is super hard and you don't know what's happening. And so like, let's just share some of this so that it's is out there. Yeah. So when you do a Google search, maybe you'll find us and
whether you're here as a breeder, whether you're here as a pet family, I hope you find what we share informational, you know, just comical, probably, hopefully, maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah. We'll loosen up after a few cups of coffee.
Yeah, you think it's coffee. Once you know it's 8 a.m.
And also, this yellow bottle is driving me crazy, so...
It's just a little bleach.
We're going to cuddle. Anyways. So first of all, Jess, why did you get into breeding?
Well, let's back up. Yeah. Tell me about you.
Oh.
So you mentioned your children.
Yes.
Okay, so you have 5 children.
I do, and a son-in-law. So we got 11, 14, 17, 18, 20, and my son-in-law is 20, almost 21. So, yeah.
And you live where?
In Arpin, Wisconsin. And that's the funny thing is that, like, my girls started working for Jess years ago in Vesper, Wisconsin. We're like 10 minutes apart, which out here where we live, that is your neighbor. We call it the country neighbor.
Neighbors.
Because how many people are in Vesper? Like, what is it?
400?
Yeah, we're like 300, mostly Amish. So, yeah.
We're neighbors.
Yeah.
We are neighbors. If you can ride a horse to your friend's house, you're neighbors.
Yep. So it was amazing because we moved out here to Arpin in 2020.
A beautiful farm. If you've never been here, Google it. Oh my gosh. It's absolutely
gorgeous. And Jess lives on a beautiful cranberry marsh.
If you're watching us, if we ever get this video on the interweb somehow, this is Shaylin's nursery, and it is gorgeous. Maybe someday we'll do
a tour or something. I think I have a tour on my Instagram page if you want to look on that. So it's Oak Road Farms in Pyrenees. So
it's beautiful. It's totally Shaylin. She's super crafty and creative.
Oh, your kennels are beautiful too, and they inspired me because otherwise I really wouldn't have known.
I have no pink. I have no teal.
No, but it's still like it feels homey. Like that's what I wanted the dogs to feel like at home. And
we're a
yin
and yang. I am black and white, and you are pink. Pink.
I'm a lot.
I know. I love it. This is why we work. So, but yes, her farm is beautiful. Her home is beautiful. Her kids are amazing. I have played them as my own. 3 of
my girls work for you, and they have since. I mean, I think really was she 12?
You know, we've shared stories about this, and I forget how young she was.
So young, and like Layla was like 14, and Hallie was like 13.
Crazy.
And so now they're older. You know, they're 20, 18, and 17. So they've been with Jess forever. They say she's her second mom, which is awesome. Because, I mean, like, when you really step back and think about it, sending your beautiful teenage daughters out to work at, like, McDonald's, like, I get it. You have to do it sometimes. But we were just blessed with a situation where, like, I knew they were safe and loved. And there's a dog drinking water behind me. Sorry. You have a mama do here any minute. So,
I love your girls.
So what was your question?
No, we're just talking about you. Okay, so that's you. I love you.
Tell me about you. I love you too.
So I'm Jess. I have 6 children. We live in Vesper, like Shaylin said. Our oldest is going to be 18 on Saturday. That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
I know. And then they're every 2 years. So we've got 16, 14.
But tell me your genders.
We have 4 boys, and then we have 2 girls.
Yeah.
So Shaylin's girls have absolutely become surrogate older sisters for my 2 girls. They absolutely love them. Mm-hmm. They love hanging out in the nursery and painting their faces green and doing goofy things with them and going for walks. I mean, hopefully they're doing some work, but they love her girls. Yeah. So
my girls love them.
We're very blessed. So we live in Vesper. We actually live on a cranberry marsh. So my husband's family has a cranberry company that they package fresh fruit. So if you're cranberry eaters, yay, thank you. Eat your cranberries.
Absolutely. Twin Lakes. Give Twin Lakes ones.
There's no S. Twin Lake.
Twin Lake, sorry.
just kidding. So eat your fresh cranberries. But yeah, so we love it. The kids, the staff, they all get to go for walks on the marsh. So it's perfect for the dogs. You've probably seen lots of pictures or things of us on the marsh. The dogs live in
so beautiful
in the reservoir in the summer. So it's a great place to raise a family.
It is.
And I'm super blessed to have Shaylin's girls and a bunch of other young women work for us, and I love it. So
you built quite the team there.
Oh,
I'm not quite at scale as Jess's yet. That's the goals, but she's been doing a little hard. So once we moved here, I was able to expand. So before where we lived, I could only do like 1 or 2 litters a year, honestly.
Yeah. And you were homeschooling.
And we were moving into an Amish house with no power. No plumbing. Yeah. So we were washing dishes in the bathtub and
a mom of
cooking in a microwave. So that was fun.
5 young children.
Yeah.
That you were
and then we had Tyler or Adri living here at the time, so I had taken in a couple kids. But yeah. So anyways, long story longer. Now I'm finally at the point where I have my kennels built. That's how I say things. That's true. My long stories get longer because
that's going to be all of
I'm a Jabberjaws. We promised. Hold on, we'll get through this. So once we moved here, and I think my last spring was the first spring my kennels were actually done. They were still partly messy when I had my first litter, but so we've been in about a full year and a half now. So yeah,
it's fun to see the progression though,
like
where you started and where you get to, and I mean that's growth in a business, and so it's super fun to watch that play out over the years. Yeah, you too.
We were just in your old kennels the other day, the first kennels they built, which were like mind blowing to me. 2 whelping boxes, right? Just 2 whelp, and I was like, I was so
my
jealous.
My husband reminds me all of the time. He's like, that was only a few years ago that I built you that.
It feels
first
like a
one.
lifetime ago because you've just like whammy, just like accelerated.
I can
it's
still
amazing.
picture. I vividly remember delivering Tilly's puppies out there. I mean, Central Wisconsin Bernedoodles was built around Tilly, and I remember having her puppies out there. I remember my puppy families coming for homecoming out there, and now I feel like, oh my gosh, that was such a small and old space.
It does feel like a long time ago.
It feels like a lifetime.
Yeah, but it's just so fun to see. Yeah, how everything progresses. Yeah.
Well, let's lead that into why did you get into breeding? So what was your big, like, how did you get here?
Yeah, it's so crazy because it's not like a story that I would think would ever. So I'll try to keep it short because it is actually a really long story. I'm not going to keep it short. You've been warned. But like how God places things in your heart and in your path that lead you to make a decision that completely changes your life. And so what I had seen was we had young kids, we had labs. They were always jumping, and I love labs, and I would totally have one now. I used to tease my husband and say, I'll get another lab if it has 3 legs, because it just needs to have something to slow it down.
Oh my gosh.
Because they're just so energetic. But when you have...
what were their names?
We had Cujo.
Wasn't there 2?
Yeah, we had another one. I don't remember his name. Sorry, we didn't have him long. He was rehomed to us, and then we had to rehome him to somebody.
I remember that. Must have been right when we were okay.
Yeah, so we just... sorry, I lost my train of thought. So we had labs, and they were just, with little kids, it was just a lot. I'm not a dog trainer. I am a dog cuddler and a kisser and you do what you want to do and terrorize my house, and you're my baby. So I'm not good with like dogs that need training.
Untrue.
No.
Okay.
But anyways, so I had
She's
seen
the dog whisperer.
I had seen somebody at the girls' school one morning when they were in school with a Great Pyrenees, and all these kids were holding onto it and snuggling it. And I was like, "What is this giant floofy white mass?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a Great Pyrenees." It was so chill. So of course I started on a quest to find one, and really there was nothing back then. And I found a Great Pyrenees mix, Samson, on Craigslist for $25. So he was a Maremma
little baby.
Yeah, a little 145-pound baby. So he was Maremma, Pyrenees, and Springer mix. So I say he was an obese Dalmatian. That's what he looked like. And with his just such laid back, chill, sweet, I mean, just his size. I always loved big dogs. That's when the girls, then we were going to send them to private school. And I was like, well, if I bought an actual AKC Great Pyrenees, I could breed and have one litter, and it would pay for the kids' school. Well, one litter turned into how many litters? I don't even know at this point. So,
what did you spend for Samson?
Samson was $25.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy thing. Chloe, my first female that I bought, I was just going to do one litter, just one litter. I needed AKC to do it. I think she was $950 with breeding rights.
And did Jared just about die?
I just about died. I never spent we grew up in the 80s where our dog had puppies every 6 months, and my parents put a free puppy sign outside on the road, and people got free puppies. Cute as buttons, but like we were just raised in a different generation where you did not spend money on dogs. So glad I did, because she produced me so many amazing, healthy puppies. And this was a lot even before I knew about genetic testing, and she never had her hips and elbows done, and thankfully God was merciful to me in my ignorance, and I was able to get her, some really good healthy puppies without all that stuff. So I had her, we had one litter. She had 11 puppies.
You had 11 puppies, first litter?
Get this. So I wasn't even home when she gave birth. I was in Michigan. This is how, like, when you look back, you're like, when you know better, you do better. So
that could be a whole podcast.
Now I'm like sleeping in the kennels with cameras out, Yeah, we'll do a whole podcast on that.
We should.
So then,
our very first litters. Let's do it.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go into it then if we're going to do a podcast on it. Stay tuned, suckers. Just kidding. But yeah. So it was crazy, and I loved every second of it. My kids loved it. They were so helpful. So that's how I got it. It was to help pay for their private school tuition.
And did everything go well?
Actually, it really did.
Okay, so
that's the problem.
So
yeah,
that's funny, because when we were tossing around the idea of having a litter of puppies, and just doing this casually too, same thing. Like I knew nothing.
Yeah.
Was absolutely just doing it from a hobby standpoint, and I had a dog I loved. But my husband's uncle told us the worst thing that can happen is everything goes well.
It's so true. And I remember you saying that.
It is the best
because the last
advice.
Couple years have been a living mother fluffing hell. Just kidding.
I mean,
everything went so good the first couple litters.
Yes. And, it got me hooked, and I just loved it. For me personally, what got me into breeding, I was a mom of 5, I think.
Yeah.
28. Yeah. No, I was a mom. Oh my gosh.
I was going to say, I think you had 6.
I had Josie.
6? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I feel like I've been doing this so much longer.
I know.
So I was staying home.
We're actually 12 years old. It's just the aging process has wore us down.
Sit a little farther so we can't see the wrinkles. No, I mean, so I went to school for nursing. I feel like I still use my nursing every single day, which is such a blessing as a mom, as a breeder.
As someone who steals information from you, I find it a blessing too.
I'm glad. I love science. I'm such a science nerd. But when I decided to dabble in breeding, I think really I missed the connectedness to the outside world. I think I was living this secluded life, loving every minute as a mom, right? I love being a mom. I loved being home with my kids, but also if I could talk to adults about something other than maybe poop and diarrhea or vomiting or napping,
potty training, teething,
screaming.
Yeah.
Actually, I feel like that's all we do now. Isn't that kind
of
similar?
With dogs, though. Yeah. That's why we're so good at it.
I'm saying this out loud. Maybe
we're seasoned pros.
Haven't changed.
Only these ones don't poop into diapers. Precious.
But I love people. I love talking to adults and having adult conversations, even if it isn't mature or anything.
Yeah.
It's just fun to relate
90%
to
of our conversations.
So as much as I loved the puppy side of it, like it brought my family together. At the end of a busy day, we were all cuddling puppies and we were having a blast. But for me personally, I loved the science side of it. I loved the family.
Hate that part.
I know, which is why we're such a good team.
I just love the puppies. I could cuddle puppies and do early neurological stimulation and all that stuff all day long.
Yeah.
Play with them, set up different things for them, and just kiss puppies all day long. That's all I love to do.
It's so fun. And I love that if you have those passions in breeding, you can follow your passion in so many different ways. For me personally, I've built my program around the fact that I have amazing teenage girls who have talents that I don't have. Right. Our social media is based off of their talents, and they soar with that. But I love to be on the backside. I love to be planning. I love to be thinking.
Communicating with families. You love that too.
I love that, and I love talking dogs. So if you've ever gotten a chance to talk dogs with me, you can appreciate that, Shaylin, too. That's why we're here. So I think that's how I got here, and then just kind of taking it to 2024 right now, the growth of our program is really because of your daughters and some of these other girls that I'll talk about that have been on our team, because they have these passions and these talents that I love watching them feel fulfilled. And I'm really grateful that we can be doing this. And this is totally a God thing.
Yeah.
Like,
and I really feel like you have to be intentional about, like, you can have a team, but you'll never grow your business or expand them in a way that like flourishes them if you aren't really looking for their strengths.
Absolutely.
So I think that's like really like a gift that you have. And I think people have that gift. They just don't tap into it because sometimes you're just like, oh, they're just employees or whatever. But you've always looked at them like for their gifts, you know, and I think that's really helped. And it's like, you know, with the training and stuff like that even too. Like you've seen a strong, you know, you've seen a strong point there, and you know, so Jess has like grooming and she has training, and these are from girls that have worked for her for years, and then she just seen where they were strong and added that to the program with their permission and them wanting to do it and then wanting to like pursue that more rather than just working in the nursery with the babies all the time. So
Shaylin is super talented. She's very artistic, and she absolutely passed that on to her daughter, Layla, and so she does a lot of photography. So if you're watching this or if you're listening to this as a breeder or aspiring to be a breeder, there's a lot of things that go into breeding that maybe people don't think about, like being able to take quality pictures and have clean spaces and clean dogs and, you know, being able to capture the essence of these dogs in the best light, because that's all you guys get to see, you know, until you get to have these pups home, or until you get to come and meet them. All you get to see is what you're given through, you know, social media or through a text or things like that. So having a team that can capture that essence, I think you're so good at that, and you have a skill for that, and so does Layla, and a lot of the girls on our team, as you know, over the years have developed that as well. But then just taking your passions and soaring. So Hallie, her next oldest daughter, loves to work with animals. I think that she maybe prefers the puppies over...
Yeah, she does miss the puppies in the nursery sometimes when she's been training with the older puppies, but she still loves training. I think she's so good at it.
She has this
She's always had it.
Connectedness with puppies, that she is like the most patient person ever. She just relates to them on a level like
she's
could never.
She's not with her little brother. Just kidding.
She honest to goodness, I don't know what it is, and everyone brings such a different talent. You know, I was just telling Shaylin that Brelia, her next daughter, who my surrogate daughter as well, my third oldest daughter. No, just kidding. She loves social media, and so just helping these girls follow their passions, tap into their creativeness as teenagers. I am so mentally maxed out when it comes to social media and trying to
keep up with it all.
Oh my gosh.
There's a social media platform for everything.
And I don't understand it. If I'm being totally honest, I don't understand what trends and why it's funny.
And what am I supposed to hashtag? Hashtag one more thing. I'm going to hashtag your face. Just kidding. I love it.
I don't know. I'm at that point in my life where I don't have time for it, and I don't understand it, but I know that the younger generation does, and I think it's hilarious and it's funny, and if I had more time or more mental capacity, maybe I would. But they do. And then we have Kylan and Briley and their sisters as well, and Kylan has been my weekend team lead for years, and she loves training as well, so taking the reset and revamp camp, we'll talk about these things in the future hopefully, but Shaylin's growing her training program as well, and it's all just surrounded around the fact that our families want support, our puppies need it.
Or you meet people who are willing to do it, and you're like, okay, I can take the business to the next level.
Yes,
we should put a pin in that, and we'll do an episode on it.
Let's do it. Okay, so we're going to talk about training.
We're writing stuff down.
I feel like I've missed a bunch of people. I've Lexi. I've had a bunch of people that have been there from the beginning. We had Kennedy. I mean, everyone has been a huge asset to our program.
For sure.
Your girls help you. I always tell them they should help her more. But it's mom. So, okay, we're going to talk about training in the future. So come back because, see, squirrel moment.
Yep, sorry.
My husband said we were going to do this. So we're going to talk about training. We're going to talk about our first litters in the future.
And I think we need to talk about how to branch your business. And that's part of it. It's like what we've done in our businesses, because I also now have a pet spa and boarding, and training. So we've both kind of branched our businesses off. So anyways,
and that's how you grow, right? Like we both started, getting back to like the question, we both started as just complete ignorant hobbyists that were just moms
probably
loving
true
puppies.
Backyard breeders, like probably
no, that's unfair.
No, but I mean, like, that's what people would label us as. Yeah, but we loved our puppies and we took super good care of them. But like,
I hate the term backyard breeder because I feel like it gets thrown around so much in today's world. And what really is a backyard breeder? We were people who loved our dogs.
Yeah. Because I see people who like raise a litter in their living room. People will be like, "Oh, a backyard breeder," and I'm like, "They're not. They're literally raising those puppies in their living room with their kids. Those puppies are getting so much love and attention." Yeah. So kudos to you for keeping that crap in your living room because I can't stand the smell. So good for you.
No.
I had a litter in my basement one time and I cried so much.
Well, and I think that, and again, that could be a topic in the future, but these dogs, we need to respect that they don't want a bunch of people around their babies. Yeah. They want their own space that's quiet and calm and it's away from people. And I think if you educate the general public on that, they understand that. But there's correct socialization and there's incorrect socialization, and correct socialization requires the moms to have their own spaces, and we can talk about that in the future.
So how did you get into breeding? Did we already cover that?
We did, yes.
No, I think we did.
Kind of.
No, I think you talked about your program and stuff, but how did you actually get into breeding?
So we had Tilly, who's our first family dog. So kind of backing up a little bit, we had an Alaskan Malamute, and looking back on it, we failed him in a lot of ways. We failed as trainers. We failed understanding our breed. And I think that's kind of what led me here in a lot of ways, was just having a really traumatic experience. He ended up biting, and in the process of rehoming him, bit again. So it was just kind of a disaster, and it was really heartbreaking. And so having that experience, having gotten a dog that didn't come with breeder support, didn't come with a lot of
especially
education.
A dog with that intense of a personality and drive.
And that's what I think,
they're amazing dogs, but like those dogs were bred for hundreds of years to do a specific job.
We had no idea. And I mean, anyone that has talked to me will vouch for this. Like, I probably talk people out of dogs, or I give them more information.
My husband says that all the time. He's like, it sounds like you're talking people out of dogs. I'm like, well, I want them to know.
Absolutely.
This is a 12 to 15 year commitment.
Absolutely. Yeah. You need to understand your breed, and we absolutely did not understand our breed. We did not know what we were getting into. We didn't know how to set boundaries. So when I educate my families, it comes from a place of love and support, because
and wanting
we've been
it to be
there.
Successful.
100%. Yeah. And so that led us to find a breed that made the most sense for us. So we added Tilly, and then everyone probably you kept saying, like, you need to have a litter of puppies with her. She's amazing. And
I remember telling you about the Bernedoodles. I remember telling you to do Bernedoodles.
It's so funny. I never
and she was
thought
like,
it would be.
No, I am not doing Bernedoodles.
I knew nothing
she didn't
about
say it like that,
poodles.
But
I
was like, Jess, they're like the new thing.
I had
like,
no
they're
clue.
amazing. And she's like,
gosh.
No. And
You're
welcome. Just kidding.
I only knew Tilly. I mean, I remember adding Willow. She was our first poodle. And
Willow,
I just let her outside to play with Tilly. I was just talking about this with Kylan, because they have one of Maggie's doodles. And she got in the pond the other day and was covered in burrs, those stick ties that just mat down in their fur. And I'm like, I'll never forget when Willow did that. And I had no tools to get it out of her fur. I sat there with the scissors cutting it out. Yeah. Like, it was such a learning curve. I had no clue what I was signing myself up for.
I feel like everything we do is a learning curve.
Yeah.
But so we're going to save you some time. Just listen to the podcast.
Right? But then we had a litter, and I just loved everything about it. I loved watching Tilly be a mom. I loved the puppy side of it. I loved the connectedness to the families. And just decided that we wanted to do some different things. So then, and then we got into doodles, and that would be a whole conversation for another podcast. So maybe we can circle back to sometime of like the journey of how we got to where we got. But that was definitely part of the process, was meeting some poodles, falling in love with the breed, doing some doodles. Which we can talk about that in just a second. Maybe that will lead us into the next question,
which would be, what impacted you the most in breeding?
Yeah. So should I roll right into it?
Yeah, go into it, girl.
So
get elbow deep. Just kidding.
Digging in here. I think the thing that impacted me the most with breeding was going to the dark side, to the doodle side.
Oh, girl.
So our very first litter.
Death threats.
Oh man. So our very first litter, like I said, was with Tilly. It was purebred Bernese Mountain Dogs. But our second litter was Bernedoodles. I didn't have a stud at that time.
Oh, was it really your second litter?
That was my second litter.
To Bernedoodles?
Yeah.
So I did not realize you went into that
I didn't
fast.
have a stud. So the next litter that she had, I had used another breeder's poodle. And so we had doodles. And I don't know that I experienced it when I was having the litter of doodles, but my third litter wanting to go back to purebred Bernese Mountain Dogs, I realized that I had crossed a line.
I remember
in breeding that I didn't.
It scared the crap out of me.
I had no idea it even existed.
Because you got like shunned out of some groups. And
oh my
stuff.
gosh!
Like breeders wouldn't even sell to
blacklisted.
You. Yeah, like
it was
wild.
Blacklisted.
She paved the way for us. I don't think there's like a lot of that going on anymore.
I think it is.
Really?
I think until you go to the dark side, yes. Once you cross that line, I mean, you're just never welcome back in. But I had no idea. So for people who don't know this, like there is legitimate purebred idealism, I think. And I think it stems from a good place originally. I think, wanting to keep a line pure and wanting to breed better and do better within a breed is absolutely truthful. And I think that is honest.
Especially for the burners, I feel like they were so overbred.
Absolutely.
And they were, I mean, I can't tell you how many people I talked to. They're like, oh, I had a burner, but it died after 2 years of cancer. Oh, I had a burner and she was 5 when she died because of hyperthyroid. And I'm like, you're buying not good burners. Well, and I give them Jess's name.
Look at labs. Look at
for sure. Gold retrievers. Yes.
Every purebred. And you have to think about like when you don't
the popular purebreds that get bred a lot.
Yeah, and when you don't have a lot of genetic diversity, that is just the nature of the beast, is trying to create a healthier breed. So I understand that in a certain way. But when I had gone and done a litter of doodles, I had become a doodle breeder only. Like I was blacklisted, and so I couldn't purchase.
Crazy.
I couldn't purchase purebreds, and you have to think back. Like I only had Tilly at this point, so I was trying to grow my program. I was trying to add dogs, and now I was blacklisted and completely shunned from buying any sorts of dogs, and it was devastating. I cried myself to sleep many nights, wondering what I had done, and had I known, I wouldn't have done it at that point. Because
you're excited about something, but there's no going forward.
I couldn't buy dogs.
And then you're so villainized.
Oh my gosh.
The things people say to you are so horrendous and
hurtful.
Ungodly that it's like, wow.
It was so cruel.
It's what kept me from crossing over to pure doodles for like 4 years. She had come to me probably like a year after you're doing doodles and was like, you should do pure doodles. And I was so traumatized by the things she told me. I was like, there's no way.
It was awful.
And I still was bad when I did pure doodles. And now I have a good following and they don't bother me. But
maybe it's because I don't understand the hatred, maybe it's
because we don't function that way, because we're not evil, the malicious people who like threaten people on the internet.
And I feel like there's the right dog for people. What's right for me isn't right for you, and it might not be right for the next person, and who am I to judge what's right and wrong?
Absolutely. But I think too, genetics plays a huge role. If you're breeding two schizophrenic burners and a poodle, you're gonna get crazy dogs. People hate doodles,
or just two schizophrenic
doodles.
Dogs.
Doodles, like doodles are horrible. Doodles are this, but I have had amazing success with my doodles because I breed well, chill females to smart, chill boys.
And I think that's where what I learned through all of it was you have to surround yourself with like-minded people. So that's where these friendships meant so much to me that I could. So
every time we're gonna quit, we come to each other and we're like, we're going to quit. I hate it. And they're like, no, you got this. Suck it up, Nancy. Put on your big girl panties and get back in there.
Yeah, but you need people that
so many times I wanted to quit
and understand your passion and your mission. And my mission was just to be here for my families and produce dogs that were, number one, healthy, number two, well loved and raised from the beginning, and put them with people that they're the right fit for them.
Absolutely.
And just giving people options. If your option is a purebred Bernese, great. If your option is a purebred poodle, great. Yeah. But if you need a doodle that's big, small, medium, whatever it is, like there's the right mixes for everyone.
And I have found with the doodle people, they're coming to me because they were raised with Great Pyrenees and they love them, but they're deathly allergic. And so they really, most my doodle people are just like, we can't do the hair and we need an alternative. And it's like,
or they
deserve a pet too.
Or they've had a dog that lived like 7 years, or they had a rescue that had a bunch of issues. And you can't fault people for wanting a dog that could live longer. Yeah. I mean, God forbid we have a mixed breed that lives longer than some of these purebreds, and that is
monster. Just
I know.
How dare you?
Especially too, like getting back to that point of like understanding your breeds. You have giant breeds. Giant breeds don't live a long time. They are the heartbreak breed for a reason.
Seriously.
And so if you can go smaller for a reason, I'm going to try and cover up your bleach. And so I think just understanding that everyone needs something different,
for sure,
and helping people find what works for them was important for me, and that's how I went doodle. And I never went back, and now I don't care.
I know
people hate me all the time. I don't care. It rolls off my back.
I give him a big thumbs up because I wouldn't do middle fingers, but because I love Jesus.
Have you experienced the hatred in the Great Pyrenees world now that you've done doodles?
Yeah, when I first started, it was bad. I mean, just awful. Like I cried. I ate so much chocolate. I gained so much weight because I self-soothe with chocolate, if you haven't noticed. But it was awful. And I just...
Is it hard? Are you at the point where you can't add new dogs because of it?
No, I feel like
sufficient within your own program,
and I'm self-sufficient. And then I did have a couple people be like, "Oh, I see you do pure doodles," when I was looking for studs, and say, "I don't want you using my stud to do pure doodles," which I was like, "Yeah, that's not how I do things," but I need them for purebred dogs, So I can buy poodles from people because I know enough poodle dealers. Just kidding.
And I think that's what I had to learn. I had to learn that I had to leave the purebred world and live within the doodle world. And everybody within the doodle world is very supportive. And we all...
Because they're amazing dogs.
Newsflash, we all have purebred dogs, right?
Well, every dog is mixed with another dog to get the dog that it is. So if you really go back genetically, the Basset Hound is mixed with this, the Dalmatian is mixed with that to get the Dalmatian to get the Basset. Let's be honest.
There are people that have purebred Great Pyrenees or purebred Bernese Mountain Dogs within the doodle world. And I guess for me, I just had to realize that those people have just as amazing options and are willing to help. And that was probably the most impactful thing that I experienced.
I really feel like the doodle people are nicer than purebred people. Yeah. So it is...
Because I feel like it's a newer culture. The purebred people, I think, are the show world people, which is a whole different cult and a whole different conversation.
Which is great if you're nice. We're just saying be nice about it. That's the only thing. Just be a kind person and be nice to people. Even if you don't want to sell them a dog, you can still be nice about it. The people that you go to buy from that don't want to sell to you don't need to rip you a new one because they don't want to sell you a dog because you might use it for doodles, And
I just feel like it motivated me. It motivated me to learn. It motivated me to find a community of people that would be uplifting and supportive. And it also made me wonder, why do they hate it so much? What is it that they hate so much? Because here's another newsflash. I don't charge differently for my doodles versus my purebred. Right. So this idea that we're making bank on, what do they call it? Designer breed.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that term.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
I can't understand it. It's not like I'm, marketing my doodles for something any different. We raise them the same. They have the same health testing. Right. They have the same socialization. Yeah. There is nothing different in terms of that. And so this quote unquote designer breed is absolute baloney, but it fueled me to want to understand where the hatred came from and then raise the standard. Let's raise that bar then. If you think that doodle people are backyard breeders, we do the same health testing, we do the same socialization, our families get the same support.
Do. I don't think all doodle people do. But I think people are wanting that. I feel like there's been a shift. I feel at first there wasn't a lot of the testing going on. But I think
that exists within the purebred world too.
True, absolutely. Nobody does anything with Great Pyrenees.
No.
Nothing. And they sell them for more than I sell mine for. And it's I say this time and time again. And it's fine because Great Pyrenees are bred for livestock guardianship. I will pick them out of a barn and they've not really even been handled, but they're AKC. So they charge me $2,500 with nothing.
Because that was always acceptable.
Yeah. And I'm I don't even charge that much. And I'm doing genetics and hips and all that crap, So yeah, I'm trying to change that standard though.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to push breeders to be do better. This is a large breed dog.
Well, and you're educating your families too, and I think that's a huge part of it, and that's why we wanted to get this out to people so that families can understand that there are breeders that will support you, there are breeders that will educate you, there are breeders that are doing things that we are trying to do as best we can. I want to say we're doing the right things, but obviously we're always learning and adapting and growing. But if we can raise the bar across the board for other breeders, then maybe the standard will become that all dogs have the same sorts of testing, and every puppy will have the same sort of socialization and curriculum and things like that.
Or at least it's something you can ask for when you shop and buy from a breeder.
Because you can buy a dog anywhere at this point. I mean, go on Puppy Find or whatever some of those websites are, and you can get a dog anywhere. But you can't get a well-raised dog, and you can't get a health-tested dog from just everyone. So you got to know what to ask for.
Right, for sure.
So, okay, what do we want to talk about next?
What's the strangest? We're gonna end with.
Oh
this.
my gosh! You start.
Okay, so what's the strangest, rudest, or most stupidest? Just kidding. Comment on your social media.
This was Shaylin's question, and I'm dying to hear what you had.
I could write a book. Well, there's so many, but I'll pick this one. My kennels have cement floors. I don't love cement floors, but it's super easy to clean, and there's drainage in here. But when the cement floors were poured, they weren't done they weren't done super well by the guy who did it. So my dad came in and he patched a lot, which I'm super thankful for. But it made discoloration. So like you can see it right now, see how there's like discoloration. But when you spray it at night and get it wet, that discoloration sticks out more. Yeah, it's interesting. So where it's patched, like around the drain over there, it's kind of patched. And so after because I scrub them every night. After mopping them one night, and I had a puppy out for something, I took a picture and I posted it on Facebook. And someone was on there, and they're like, I cannot believe you are raising these puppies in this filthy, disgusting, dirty floor. And all it was where the water had made it so like there's lighter and darker where the patches are. Where the patches are, it's darker. And so it was just darker. And I was like, oh, hey, just so you know, because I try to be kind to stupid people. Just kidding. I'm trying to be nice. Jesus loves you. But I was like, oh, just so you know, we have cement floors in here and blah, 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 and how it looks when it's wet. They do get I can show you a video if you want. They're very colorful in the sense of dark gray, light gray. And they're like, yeah, right, that's a filthy, disgusting floor, and you call yourself, and then we're just nonstop, And I was
Newsflash, we block and ban you.
Yes.
You don't stick around.
Block and ban.
No, you don't.
Bye, Felicia. Around. Just kidding. Yeah, and so, but it was trying to tell them, hey, I would never put my puppies on a dirty floor. They're so important to me. Yeah, right, that's dirty. I can see from here. I'm like, well, you can't see from here because it's concrete.
And honestly, with your floors, having a little bit of a grit and a texture is better for them because they're not slipping. And I think people don't realize that there are certain surfaces.
A lot.
There's certain surfaces that are better for puppies than others.
Absolutely.
And I would rather have a little bit of grit and texture and have to try and clean it and spray it and sanitize it.
Listen, Linda, I would love to do epoxy, but that's another $20,000. And I had not the best breeding season, which I usually store away money to upgrade things.
Believe it or
wasn't
not.
the best. So I'm not going to go into debt doing this. I do things debt-free.
Puppies destroy everything.
The epoxy floor will come when the epoxy floor comes, but it ain't happening anytime soon.
Well, and urine is just so
back off. Just kidding. Just kidding. I love you. Many blessings upon her.
I mean, that's funny. And, everyone's going to share their opinion without being asked. So
wait, there's one more. So I posted an ultrasound picture the other day, and it is spines and skulls everywhere. And I said, guess how many are in here?
An X-ray.
Yeah, an X-ray. Sorry, did I say ultrasound?
Yeah,
sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. So spines and skulls everywhere, and I mean everywhere. It looks like the dog has worms in her stomach, because her spines are. And the lady's like, I'm guessing 5. I'm like, that's cute.
It would be cool to show what we look for though, and that would be something fun.
But it was cute because there was clearly
a lot,
9 skulls. I mean,
it's
least.
hard to count.
It is,
when
but it was
packed
just.
In
I just thought it was cute. I didn't think that was stupid. I just thought it was cute. Yeah.
No,
I was like,
aw,
5? Really?
I mean, if I had to go back and note all of the ones that I blocked and banned, it's ridiculous. And newsflash, like I said, I don't condone it.
Yeah.
This is a free society. You are free to follow my Facebook page, and you are free to not follow it.
And I'm free to block you.
If anybody
just kidding.
If anybody didn't know that, just throwing that out there, you don't have to follow me on social media. I'm not gonna pressure you to do so.
No.
This is a free country.
Follow us or your family burns. Just kidding. I'm kidding. That's how it's kind of like that, yeah.
I mean, I personally, I don't understand leaving hatred on a page. I would never do that to somebody else. Again, I just don't understand where it stems from. So when it comes through, I just block and ban it. But I did, I guess, most recently, I don't know what the strangest or stupidest is, but the most recent one, I had posted, you probably saw it on my Facebook page, a whole thing about, how do you know if someone's a good breeder? What do they do to support you?
Yeah.
What do you look for? I never once mentioned selling dogs in my post. I just
you have to be really careful what you post on Facebook.
Yeah, you actually
really
can't.
Careful.
You can't sell dogs on Facebook. So when people question things in comments, that's why they get hidden.
Yeah.
So if you've ever, had
said how
something
much,
on Facebook,
how much for the puppy? You want to hide that right away.
If you don't want us to get kicked off of Facebook, this is why we can only talk about our program, talk about our dogs, things like that. So if you didn't know that, that is actually a thing. So anyway, I had this post and I was just talking about why I'm here, what my mission is with breeding, how I support my families. If your breeder isn't doing X, Y, and Z, maybe they're not a good breeder, was the whole point of the post, right? Well, it had like, I don't know, 400 likes or something. It's probably the most trafficked post that we've had, which is great. But with it came a lot of hatred. And so I was blocking and banning constantly, just hiding all of these comments. And I ended up in Facebook jail because somebody reported
me.
I did. Because somebody reported me for trying to. I was
Never
against.
been in Facebook. One time, like 100 years ago.
I was against community standards, believe it or not, for trying to be a good ethical breeder, and so I
classic
I
Mark Zuckerberg.
I went through the review process or whatever, and I challenged it, and believe it or not, I won because I wasn't actually trying to sell anything, but somebody reported me, and the comments of hatred on the post that I had to hide were ridiculous. How I'm such a backyard breeder, how I'm doing a horrible thing.
First of all, Jess's kennels are probably nicer than her house.
The comments,
my son comes out here, he's like, Mom, the kennels are cleaner than our house. I'm like, yeah, shh, don't tell anybody. Everything's nice out here. That's why I'm hanging out here. I'm like, yeah, because we have an inspector that comes into the kennels, and we'll get in trouble if we don't have them spotless. That's one of the reasons, obviously. But yeah, I'm like, we live in fear constantly of the inspector.
I couldn't believe that.
Love you, Mitch, if you're out there, bestie.
I couldn't believe that someone went to the point of reporting my post because I was selling animals, and I'm like, that it wasn't even the point of the post at all. It's just an informational post, and so that had to have been the strangest, stupidest.
It's an informational post on telling you how not to buy from crappy breeders.
I know, but somehow that got me in Facebook jail.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, cool. Well,
you know what
that's
they
not
say.
cool, but like,
if people don't like it, you're probably doing the right thing.
Well, and I always tell my girls and my kids and my son too, because I have 4 girls and a son. I always say you can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, but somebody ain't gonna like peaches. And I was talking to another social media influencer that I'm working with, and I was telling her, that, like, just so you know, because she's getting a puppy from me, and I said, people are going to find out you're with breeder, and they're going to probably really be ticked. And she's like, oh yeah, for sure. She goes, I do a lot of intake, but there's certain animals I want from breeders. So I educate myself and I buy them from breeders because she has like a farm. And so like she had like cooney pigs and stuff. She's like, I got them specifically from a breeder because I wanted to breed them. And she's like, she tells her family, I could say, I want to save the world. And people would get on social media and be like, what about Pluto?
Yeah.
What about the galaxies? And she's like, yeah, there's always
going to be someone who finds faults. So, and, I guess, again, to each their own, right? Like, if you like Pluto more than you like planet Earth, like, go for it. I mean, find a way to live there.
Yeah.
But this is what we're doing here, and this is why we're doing what we're doing here, and we're excited to talk about it.
Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the first 50 minutes. Whoopsie! Of our life. Wow, I can't believe we kept it under 50.
Yeah.
Because
I'm super excited. Yeah. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Super fun.
I can't wait.
Well, we're going to end it here and come back for more because you want to. We love you. Bye. Do we have a sign off? Do you have a special tag? Everybody has a special tag.
Dog ladies out.
Okay. And then fist pump it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Dog ladies. Oops.
Out.
1, 2, 3. Dog ladies out. We're dorks. Bye.